Hello and welcome back to another video. So I know I've been away from the camera for a little bit and I am so sorry for that. It was not intentional. Let's just say I've been so busy and energy levels were low. So I wanted to come back, bring out the camera. We got Hubs here and do a first trimester Q&A. We're actually just leaving the parents' house, so we're going to be in the car for a little bit. So I figured right now would be a good time to answer some first trimester questions and some questions about IVF, what we all did, and all that good stuff. All right, so you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to start with IVF. I have a little list here on my phone. So first question, IVF timeline. All right, that one is a doozy for us. I thought it was going to be a much quicker process than it was. So we were seeing a fertility clinic about an hour and a half away from us, and then a lot of just some shady stuff was going on, so we decided to get a second opinion and we ended up going out of state to Maryland for that. So March of 2023, it was when our referral went out to our new clinic. We did a consult with them in July because we had to get all new testing done because all of our tests were 2 years old and they wanted it to be 1 year or recent. So we had to get all new testing. July came, we had our consult. October came, we paid for IVF, and then that's when we got our date, was in October, to do a January retrieval, a March transfer. So it was a year full circle. I don't know if other clinics are a little bit more quicker on that process. I know with our two clinics we went to, they wouldn't give you a date until you paid for IVF, so that was kind of the holdup for us, because we already did 3 years of infertility, so our savings and all that was already kind of drained with all of our treatment and medical costs already. So we ended up actually selling our house so we could do IVF. I know a few people have asked me about that. So that is how we made that work. We figured having a child was our biggest priority, so we were able and willing to make those sacrifices. Anything you want to say on the timeline?
Yeah, I definitely thought from like my perspective that this was going to be a much faster process.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked. I guess I am shocked that we still don't have an actual kid, like in our arms. Mm-hmm. Super grateful that we're pregnant right now, but definitely blown away how long this has taken.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next IVF question is transfer symptoms. So I would say I was very bloated on all the medication because I was doing progesterone shots and taking estrogen tablets. Was I taking that?
Yeah.
So I was on a little bit of medicine, so I was very bloated. I already looked pregnant right after the transfer. I was very tired, and all throughout the retrieval and the transfer I had a lot of breast tenderness. So those were my IVF transfer symptoms. Can you think of any others I had that I'm not mentioning?
That's too crazy. I didn't really have any symptoms either. It was pretty chill for me. So.
It was so chill. Did we do ICSI? And if you don't know, there's two kinds of ways to do like the IVF fertilization. One is where you kind of put an egg and a sperm in a petri dish and you kind of natural fertilization happen. You try to see if a sperm will fertilize that egg. Because we were paying so much for IVF, we kind of wanted to make sure there was gonna get eggs that were fertilized, which nothing's a guarantee, but we just wanted to do that one next step above to boost our odds. So we did ICSI, which is where, I'm not sure what it stands for exactly, but it is where they'll take one egg and one sperm and they inject the sperm into the egg. So that's what we ended up doing, and we had 4 fertilized eggs to go with, and then only 2 made it through PGT testing. We're gonna roll into our first trimester questions. So this video is a little late. We are well into our second trimester and I am 19 weeks, 4 days. Little baby boy is a mango. He's the size of a mango. So I've been keeping track of all the fruit things with him, which has been so fun to document. So definitely getting this first trimester one a little late. Maybe I'll do better about getting a second trimester Q&A up kind of in the span of the second trimester. When is your due date? My due date is December 10th. It kind of changed a little bit. I went off of an IVF calculator because my IVF clinic didn't give me a due date for our transfer, which my friend who also went to the same clinic, when they did the transfer, she got a piece of paper with her due date on it. I never got that. I think just different providers do things a little differently. So I went home, did the IVF calculator, and it said December 13th, but when we had our first ultrasound, like first official ultrasound, they dated it as December 10th. So that is what we're rocking with now. Favorite meal? I think my favorite meal still is ice cream. Crave it every night. Just love me some sweets. Which I heard with boys, you crave savory food. But I've definitely been still loving my sweets. I'm a sweet girl, so that hasn't really changed much throughout the pregnancy.
I think that one thing is you definitely have been eating more meat than what you normally do.
Yes.
Not that you've been eating like anything crazy. Your cravings really didn't do anything too wild.
No.
I would say your willingness to eat more hearty meals has gone up.
Yeah. If you know me, I'm not a big meat eater. I like my beef, I like my hamburgers, but I don't necessarily love eating meat. So I just like my fruits, vegetables, and carbs. But this pregnancy, I'm making sure to eat well-balanced meals. A lot of protein. I know beef is really good for like brain development for the baby, so I've been trying to eat a lot of beef. We've been sticking to a lot of like chuck roast, which I can just eat that all day long. I won't get tired of that, and Mexican. So those have been like my two go-to meals. So I'll make baked chicken tacos, regular tacos, taco bowls. I can just not get tired of that.
We've also been eating more like hearty dairy stuff, so like switching to whole milk and then using butter instead of cocoa spray.
Yeah, so just trying to get in more calories where it counts. Did you do the genetic carrier testing? So, what is it, like when you're around like 9 weeks or so, you can do the NIPT test, which, comment down below if I'm saying that wrong, which will do like the genetic carrier testing. That's where you can find out the gender of the baby. We opted not to do that. One, because we knew the gender of the baby going into our transfer. We asked to find out the day of. And then we already did the genetic carrier testing with PGT, so I didn't feel the need to do the genetic carrier testing once we were pregnant, and then Austin, I think, felt the same way. We still signed the paperwork because the doctor was just like, it's better to sign the paperwork, change your mind, and we can get that test done and then go back and then have you sign the paperwork. So, but we never opted to do that, and I think we're perfectly happy with that. What did you think baby was going to be? So, for the first 2 years of our infertility journey, I was hard set on a girl. I wanted a girl. I didn't want anyone talking to me about possibly having a boy. Dead set on a girl because I had a girl name that I absolutely fell in love with, and I was like, nope, girl vibes only. But then I found a boy name that I really loved, and which I know that doesn't really matter. But then I was like, okay, it can go either way, I'll be happy. And then when we did our transfer, I just had a feeling it was gonna be a boy. I was like, we're having a boy first, that's what it is, that's all I can envision when I think about like this transfer, this baby, is having a little boy. And then Austin thought on the morning of transfer
that was gonna be a girl. And I'm not a, like pro boy or girl first. I don't know, I had a weird feeling it was a girl. But nah, it was a boy. I'm stoked. It's gonna be cool.
Yep, so there you have it. We are having a boy first. Do we know the gender of our second embryo for their opportunity to be transferred? And we do. We asked the morning of our transfer. We weren't gonna find out, but we couldn't wait any longer. So we do know the gender of the second embryo we have, but we will not be sharing yet. We probably won't share until we do that transfer. Kind of just answer this one. Do you have a name picked out? Yes, I got my way. I got the name that I had picked out for our baby boy, but I compromised and let Austin pick the middle name. So I had the whole name picked out, but I was like, I'll let you have your moment and you can pick the middle name. So
it's a strong name though.
We've told a few people, just like close friends and family, and everyone has all had the same reaction, that is one strong name. So we will not be sharing the name until baby boy is born, but we already have things with his name on it and all that. So it is stuck. It is not changing. Have you thought about your birth plan yet? I haven't given it much thought, just because I know things can change so quickly. Case in point, my nephew was just born just over a month ago, and my sister ended up having to have an emergency C-section. So I'm not trying to be too set on one way or another. I would like to go without having an epidural. I have nothing against anyone who gets an epidural. I don't think I handle pain well, so I can see myself getting the epidural, but I really want to try not having an epidural and going all natural. One, because I just want that experience, and two, my body does not do well on medications at all. So if I can just avoid that, I think that would be best for me. But whatever's best for me and baby at that time, then I will roll with it. Do you have any like birth plan expectations?
Oh no, this is totally your realm. I'm just here to support you in whatever you decide.
How thoughtful. So maybe once we get closer to the third trimester Q&A, I'll have a totally different answer. But right now, I don't really have much expectations besides trying to go into it natural. What pregnancy symptoms have you had? So I will tell you, going into our IVF transfer, I was telling all my friends I wanted all the symptoms. I wanted the morning sickness. I wanted the food aversions. I wanted the whole experience to feel pregnant because I waited so long. And they all thought I was crazy. They're like, you're gonna regret what you asked for. And the complete opposite happened. I had virtually no pregnancy symptoms, like none. I ended up testing the day that we found out because I had like some stomach issues, but I was also starting a job that same day. So it could have been stress, it could have been the transfer working. Oh my God. There we go. So I don't even know if that was an actual pregnancy symptom, like my stomach symptoms on what made me test. I think I was maybe using that as an excuse to go test. Anyways, I had bloating, but I think that was just all from the meds. Breast tenderness, that was all from the meds because they were tender the start of the shots that you have to take and all the meds like a week before transfer. So that wasn't anything. I will say I was super tired, like exhausted. Don't ask me to do anything. Come home from work at 5 o'clock, take a 2-hour nap. I was just tired all the time. Wasn't I?
Yeah.
I had nausea for a couple weeks. I'd say I was nauseous just for like 2 weeks. I would have to have a snack coming home from work, so I wasn't too hungry before dinner. And then I woke up twice to have some crackers at 3 a.m. because I woke up super nauseous, like that hungry nausea. But that was it. Like no really throwing up, no not being able to eat. Just like 2 weeks of like some intermittent nausea, and that didn't last long. But even now, maybe some brain fog. I do have that, so that's been fun, especially with working. But brain fog and like super tired, like my only symptoms really. So I cannot complain. I had such an easy pregnancy so far. And then, have you bought anything for baby? We have his name sign for the hospital, which is super cute, and I saw it on Pinterest and I bought it right away from Etsy. It was just like a little, those ads, whatever, that they put on Pinterest. Bought a whole bunch of clothes for him already. Got a lot of hand-me-downs from friends that were moving out of the area, so they gave us a whole bunch of their boy clothes. So we already have a lot of clothes, but things I bought, I'm gonna show y'all when we get home. All right, so some things I got for baby boy already, besides like his hand-me-downs, just some like things that I purchased. We got this cute little hat. Me and Austin are always wearing hats, so I figured how cute, start them off young. That way I've heard from friends, that way they get used to it. That way when they're like toddlers, they're already used to some hats. So we'll see how it goes. I got him his own little Bible. I thought this was so cute because our theme is mainly whales, but like broader theme is like surfing and ocean. So I saw this at the bookstore and I had to get it. For the baby shower, I definitely want to bring it and then have people highlight their favorite Bible verse. I went to a baby shower and they were doing that, so I definitely want to steal that idea. Out thrifting, got this Beach Baby like hard book, like the cardboard book. I just thought it was like super cute. So that, of course, a Mama's Boy onesie. And then this matching little set. I think this one was from Carter's. But like I said, our little ocean theme, and I love this color. It's like my favorite color. Hence it matches my camera strap. But those are some things I got for him. Super excited to show y'all the nursery once we have that set up. But we already have a lot of stuff for it. Just things I've been collecting throughout the years of infertility. I have this bamboo rack that I've had for the past 1 to 2 years now. I found thrifting. Anyways, that already has a lot of his stuff on it, so can't wait to give y'all a tour in the future. Alright, clearly it is the next day. Gonna finish up this Q&A today. I posted on my Instagram, recording my first trimester Q&A, so if anyone had any questions, to ask away. So I got a few questions that came in, so I'm just gonna go ahead and answer those as well. The first one is, how early did you find out you were pregnant? So I found out super early. I tested 4 days post-transfer, and I heard, I think like the earliest from friends and other IVF couples that have went through this, I heard, I think it was like 5 days post-transfer or like 8 days post-transfer is when they were getting their first positives. So I tested at 4 days post-transfer, totally was not expecting anything. But on the first response test, there was a clear as day line. And I was like, no way, like that's not even like squinting, let's ask everyone if there's a line there. That was like unmistakable line. So I had a digital test. I'm like, well, let me see if a digital will pop. And then I took the digital right after. So I did find out at 4 days post-transfer, and we transferred with a 5-day embryo. So I don't know if that makes a difference because it was a 5-day embryo that I was able to get a positive so early on, but that was absolutely crazy. I was totally not expecting to get a positive. And if you've seen our finding out we're pregnant, telling friends and family video, I was completely shocked and was shaking throughout that whole video. So I'll post a picture of our little pregnancy test. That way y'all can see like the line was legit there. Also, if you did IVF and you got a positive, how early did you get your first positive pregnancy test? And did you end up testing early, or did you just wait for the blood work? Because I was going to try so hard to wait for the blood work because I just heard like testing increases your stress and all this stuff, but I couldn't wait. So I gave it 4 days and I tested. So comment down below. What's the best thing about being pregnant so far? So in the first trimester, the best thing about being pregnant, I would say, is every time we got to hear baby boy's heartbeat. We couldn't hear his heartbeat at our 8-week ultrasound appointment. The ultrasound tech said they're not doing that anymore because I guess there's some studies that say the heart Doppler reading, I don't know what it's called, has like adverse effects on baby. But all my friends did an 8-week heartbeat scan at their doctors. So I went to baby bump at 9 weeks so we could hear the heartbeat. So I think that's been the best. We got the little at-home Doppler. I will say we couldn't hear it at home in the first trimester, but going to the appointments and hearing the heartbeat was like the best thing about being pregnant in the first trimester. Are you keeping up with workouts? So if y'all know me, I started this channel with like all things fitness. I have my fitness Instagram, I'm a personal trainer, and I know the science on working out is safe for pregnancy. Like, there's so many health benefits to it. There's just so many things I could list. And knowing that and seeing all the other fitness girls I follow pregnant working out, I couldn't get myself to work out. I think it's just because I was so terrified to do something that was going to mess with our pregnancy. So I stayed away from like a lot of things. I did get an okay from my doctor that I could work out, but I was just mentally, there was a block there. Even though the logical side of me knew it was safe for me to work out. And I think what happened to do with that is that bleeding that we had at 6 weeks, I did a really light workout. And then that night I had that small amount of blood. So I think in my head, I was just too nervous to do so. So I actually did start working out again. I did a few workouts, maybe like 2, 3 in the first trimester, but I've definitely started doing a lot more in the second trimester. Not a ton because of fatigue, but I've been trying to do 2 to 3 a week, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. But first trimester, there's really no working out happening. How are you feeling physically and emotionally? Physically, feeling pretty good besides the nausea and the tiredness in that first trimester. I will say, I think with the whole infertility thing, going through IVF, your brain doesn't turn off. Like, at least for myself, I was constantly worried about baby boy. Like, I wanted to keep trying the Doppler at home to try to hear his heartbeat because I feel like I wasn't having those crazy symptoms like the morning sickness, the food aversions. I just felt like I wasn't pregnant. So I was just like emotionally, I was just really anxious that first trimester. So it was a lot. Just like every day, literally every time I went to the bathroom, I would check the toilet paper, make sure I wasn't bleeding. Like, it was a mental battle, but it's all worth it. It's all been worth it, but it was definitely just a lot of worrying. Which brings me into another question that was asked. If you had pregnancy, nausea, and tiredness, when did you notice improvement, if any? So like I said earlier, I only had that nausea for maybe 2 weeks, but I will say making sure you don't get too hungry definitely helped. I had snacks in my purse, at my desk at work, on my nightstand. I had crackers everywhere. So I would say just make sure you have little things that you can eat, that way you don't get too hungry. But like I said, I only had the nausea for 2 weeks. So my improvement probably started at like 10 weeks. And I think it's just because I didn't really have morning sickness. So I can't really help you there. But I will say with the fatigue, I had 2 weeks of a burst of energy, but then right back downhill with the fatigue. Like, super tired, barely getting through my work day, coming home having to take a nap at 5:30. I will say what's helped is making sure to eat a lot. That way I'm fueling myself and the baby. Just making sure I'm keeping up with calories. That way I have enough energy to go out throughout the day. I'm normally a night owl, so I normally don't go to bed till like 10:30, 11, but I've been trying to go to bed around like 9 o'clock, which I know is still late for a lot of people, but that's pretty early for me. So trying to go to bed at 9, that way I get a full night's sleep, has definitely been helping. I am still very tired well into my second trimester, so I don't think I have enough good energy days to give you advice on how my fatigue or tiredness has improved, because I've not gotten that second win yet. I heard sometimes in the third trimester, so we'll see if that happens for me. But I hope if y'all are dealing with nausea or tiredness, I hope it gets better for y'all, because I know it's rough. Oh, another question that came up for IVF. How did you get through PIO shots, which is the progesterone and oil shots? And I will say, the first maybe 3 or 4 weeks of those was rough. My glutes were so sore. I think so much so, I'm a side sleeper and a belly sleeper. And I think so much so that there was sore sleeping. I started sleeping on my back during IVF. And now I keep waking up on my back, and I know you're not supposed to sleep on your back in pregnancy. So I think that's really what started it, was all the PIO shots and how sore my hips were. Biggest thing to do would be make sure you put that heating pad on the injection site, because if I was running out the door for work and didn't have time to really heat that area for a good 5 to 10 minutes, I was super sore. So make sure you're heating it. I would say like 10-15 minutes if you can, if you have the time for it. And then making sure that the injection, the oil is heated up. Now, always ask your doctor about your medications and what you're allowed to do, but I heated up my oil in a heating pad. Like, what I would do is I would sterilize the top of the syringes, not the syringes, I would sterilize the medicine, and then I would draw up the medication. Once the medication was in the syringe, I would put it in the heating pad until I was done alcohol swabbing my injection site. And that seemed to be enough time to heat up the oil without it getting too hot, but just enough where it went in smoother. And I would say doing that definitely helped my food's ready. Doing that definitely helped get the oil to go in a little bit better and not knot it as much. So see if it's okay with your doctor if you can heat up that oil before you inject yourself. But heating up the oil and heating the injection site after the shot was my 2 biggest things that made the shot, by the end of it, like, I barely felt it anymore. I did start bleeding a lot though towards the end, I think just because of how bruised that area was, but the pain definitely went away. It wasn't as bad as when I first started. I wanted to share my little wall in my bedroom documenting all his ultrasounds. Isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy how we started at, what day was that? 6 weeks, one day when I had my bleeding. We went to the hospital. That's how tiny he was. This was around 8 weeks. Does it say? And then he's like this big, still like too small to really see much. And then next one. And then I've been doing my little fruit bump. But I just love waking up and going to bed with all his little pictures. Well, thank you so much for watching this Q&A. I enjoyed doing it. I've definitely enjoyed all the pregnancy milestones so far. Let me know if you have any more questions down below in the comments. And if you are still in your wait on your journey with infertility, I am praying for you. And I hope that you get your answered prayers soon. And my heart just goes out to you all. So I'll catch you in the next video. I'm gonna try to be more consistent with these videos now that we're into the second trimester, and I feel like we can get through this tiredness and I can do more stuff. So I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.